Hi everyone and welcome to Murder UK with me, Vanessa. Today we're at Nottingham Road Cemetery, which is in Derby, and we're here to pay our respects to 6 children who were tragically killed in a house fire that was started by the one person that should have protected them. This is the story of the Philpott children. On the 11th of May 2012, the Philpott family's home of 18 Victory Road, Derby, was seriously damaged by fire. 5 children, Jade 10, John 9, Jake 7, Jesse 6, and Jaden 5, who had all been asleep upstairs, all died at the scene. Their half-brother Dwayne, 13, died in hospital 2 days later. All of their deaths were caused by smoke inhalation. Police treated it as murder. So the question is, who would do an act so cruel and kill 6 innocent children? Mick Philpot was in modern times known as a caveman. He didn't work and he lived off the state claiming benefits. Mick and wife Marie, who was half his age, married in 2003 when she was just 19. She'd already had 4 children with him and was expecting baby number 5. Mick's mission in life was to have as many children as he could because babies brought more money in from the government. Mick was also classed as a sex pest. He had a girlfriend named Lisa who he moved in with and had children with her. Altogether there were 11 children, a wife and a girlfriend living in a 3-bedroom house in Victory Road, Derby. As you can imagine, the house was nowhere near big enough to accommodate the family. So Mick contacted Derby Council and asked for a bigger house. But the council didn't have anything to offer the Philpott family. So Mick, being Mick, decided to contact the local ITV News to embarrass the council. This is when Mick became a local celebrity for all the wrong reasons. Mick was classed as a scrounger by the public, and his personal life was exposed about his wife and his live-in girlfriend. People thought it was disgusting how an old man had 2 young women running around after him, as well as looking after the 11 children. Mick would do absolutely nothing to help. He would just watch the television or go to the pub. But behind closed doors, shameless Mick had a dark side. Back in July 1978, aged just 21 years, Mick was arrested for stabbing his 15-year-old girlfriend. The reason? Because she wrote to him in a letter saying she wanted to end their relationship. Mick was so enraged that he also stabbed her mother as she tried to intervene. Both survived the attack, and Mick was sentenced to 7 years in prison, but was released after serving only 3 years. In later years, he met Heather. She was 14 and Mick was 37. On her 16th birthday, she ran away from her parents to live with Philpott. She gave birth to 2 boys in quick succession, but Philpott beat her because he wanted a daughter. After years of abuse and beatings, Heather split from Philpott, and in 2000 he met Marie, a 19-year-old single mother of 1. But in 2001, Philpott met Lisa Willis, a 16-year-old who became his mistress. He asked her to move in with him and Marie, and Lisa was even a bridesmaid at their wedding in 2003. Mick was a man who referred to women as bitches and had no respect for them. They were baby-making machines and served Mick like he was a king. In fact, they were both scared of Mick as he had a temper and wouldn't think twice in giving them a beating. He made them work but insisted that their wages and benefits were to be paid into his bank account. You could say that the pair were modern-day sex slaves, and on one occasion, Mick went dogging with Marie, and she became pregnant by a stranger. Mick insisted that she should have an abortion. Over the coming years, Lisa began to get fed up with the situation and told Marie that she was taking her 5 children to the swimming baths, but it was just a plan to leave Mick, and she never returned. Mick was so angry. How dare that bitch take my kids? Mick wasn't bothered about Lisa or the children. He was bothered about the money. So he hatched a plan to win sole custody of the 5 children. His plan was to start a fire at his house, rescue everyone, and blame it on Lisa, so the courts would deem her as an unfit mother. 2 weeks before the court hearing, Mick told everyone that would listen Lisa had sent him threatening text messages saying he was going to firebomb his house with him and everyone in there. But what everybody didn't realise is that Mick was setting the seed, and in the early hours of the 11th of May 2012, on the morning of the custody hearing, number 18 Victory Road went up in flames. Neighbours heard the screams of Mick and Marie, and while waiting for the emergency services, neighbours tried in vain to smash the upstairs windows, but the smoke was so thick that you couldn't see past your nose. Mick's caravan that was parked down the side of the house made it more difficult to get round the back. This huge fire was at the front door. The fire brigade arrived and they managed to get into the house, bringing the 6 children out one by one and laying them on the pavement. As the ambulance crew battled tirelessly to try and save them, Mick tried to get close to his children, but police were blocking the area, so he went across the road and was seen chatting to neighbours like nothing had happened. Sadly, 5 children couldn't be saved. The eldest, Dwayne, passed away later in hospital. The fire investigation concluded that the fire was arson and had been started by petrol. The police turned this into a murder investigation and questioned Mick and Marie. Mick told the police about Lisa and how she had threatened to hurt him and his family. Lisa was arrested, but was soon in the clear. This is when police and detectives started to take a look at Mick and Marie. Their story didn't make any sense. They were asleep downstairs when the fire broke out, and as they made their way through the kitchen, into the living room and to the hallway, they passed 2 fire extinguishers, one in the kitchen and the other in the back room when they were sleeping, and at no point did any of them try to extinguish the fire. Instead, they waited outside in the back garden. Later, police discovered petrol splashes on their clothing. This was the turning point in the investigation. Police knew that they both had something to do with it. They just needed more proof. The police put the Philpotts up in a hotel room, but unbeknown to Mick and Marie, the police had bugged their hotel room. A week after the tragedy, Mick insisted on a news conference. Detectives set this up so Mick could have his 5 minutes of fame. He walked into the room in front of local and national press, sat down with a tissue in one hand, and started to thank everyone for the support, the emergency services, the flowers and the cards, but at no point did he ask for help to try to find who killed his 6 young children. The detectives leading the case knew he was guilty, and that night in the hotel room, a friend of the Philpotts, Paul Mosley, was heard by police having sexual activity with Marie, and after heard all 3 discussing the story and Mick saying, "Make sure you both are sticking to it." Police now had enough evidence to arrest all 3, and on May the 28th, 2012, Mick and Marie were in police custody until their court case, along with their friend Paul Mosley, who helped to set the house on fire. On the 22nd of June 2012, the children's joint funeral service took place at St Mary's Church, followed by interment into Nottingham Road Cemetery, with hundreds of mourners attending. Mick and Marie Philpott did not attend, as they had been remanded in custody and charged with murder. On the 12th of February 2013, Mick, Marie and Paul Mosley stood trial at Nottingham Crown Court. The charges were reduced to manslaughter, as they did not intend to kill their children. Instead, they wanted to frame Lisa Willis for the fire to win back custody of the children and continue to claim benefits for them. Marie Philpott and Paul Mosley were each sentenced to 17 years, of which they had to serve at least half their sentence before being released on licence. Mick Philpott was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum tariff of 15 years and remains in prison. In 2020, Marie was released on licence after only serving half a sentence. Friend Paul Mosley was released in 2021, but was recalled to prison for what reason is unknown. But as a partner of a family member said, "A leopard never changes its spots." So that was the tragic and horrendous story of the Philpott children, and we've arrived at the graveside. Instead of me reading every single stone, which I just can't bring myself to do, it's so upsetting, I'm going to place the flowers there, and then I'll let you have a look at the stone yourselves.